Hello makers! Today I'm excited to share with you the Tim Holtz Stamp Collaboration for Stamptember 2024. Really excited. This is the stamp set. So finally the reveal, and as you can see, it's a whole bunch of little images, a postmark, and lots of sentiments there along the bottom. And they have with it outline dies for all of the images and then an additional circle die. It looks like to me, I couldn't match this up with anything else. So I think it's just extra. And that actually, you could make a little round tag to fit some of these. You could just do, you know, some of the little images on the little gift tag, or you could do some of the sentiments. And that's not all. There's also this cool postage stamp set. It has a large stamp that you could stamp an image, and then you could also fit one of the sentiments underneath. And then the small postage stamp that can fit an image, or it can fit a sentiment. So I'm really excited to make with these. I think this is such a fun set, right? So many options, so many things we can do with them. So I am excited to get started, and I'm inviting you to come along with me as I make with the Stamptember 2024 set. So let's get making. I started by cutting down some distressed white heavy stock into 2-inch strips. And then I just cut out a bunch of the large and the small stamp shapes, and I didn't do anything to them until I had a nice pile set out. I wanted to make sure that I had enough to cover the front. When I was planning this in my head, I kind of thought I was going to be able to mix the two and have them fit on the front of an A2 card, but they didn't quite fit. So I really just worked with the small stamp size. And as you can see, once I had cut them all, I would put one die cut back into the die, and I would do a little bit of color with a small Distress Ink blending tool, and then I would just stamp one of the small images into the center of that. So I was basically using the die as a stencil, so that when I was stamping, it was keeping the stamp and the blending of the ink inside the center of that. So I had laid these out on the card already, and I knew that I needed at least one horizontal and 3 vertical of each color. And so I just kind of just went through and pulled stamps that I thought would look good vertically and horizontally, and I set them aside. So I stamped and blended 4 stamps of each of 3 colors that I was using. So the first color, that red, was Distress Ink in Candied Apple. And the color I'm using right now, the blue, is Faded Jeans. And then the green is Pine Needles. So it's kind of that bluish green. If I had wanted a yellow green, I actually could have done Rustic Wilderness. But I have my new colors in a tin that wasn't as easily accessible as the pine needles, so I just grabbed it while I was working on this. Now, I had to make a little tiny stamp to go in the corner because 12 stamps didn't, full-size stamps didn't fit on the card. So I cut one stamp in half by running it through the die cut again. And so you can see it there in the corner. It's just a little one, and stamping part of the mug on it. And now I'm going through with the postmark cancellation lines and just stamping in Black Soot Distress ink here and there on each of the stamps. And next I am stamping the presents and one Christmas tree. And I didn't know how many presents I was going to need, so I figured it would be better to have too many than not enough and have to go back and try and stamp another one, color it in. So I quickly stamped and colored a bunch of the presents and one Christmas tree, and I used the same colors to do that. And I added mustard seed for the yellow on the ribbons of these. And then once I had them all colored, I trimmed them apart and went through and used those outline dies and cut them all out. So I had a little pile of packages. It was so cute. And then the one Christmas tree. So this all worked really well just using my Sidekick, Creative Convenience. And there you can see I have them. So then I went over a piece of distressed watercolor cardstock with antique linen and around the outside with vintage photo. And then I went around the edge of all the stamps with antique linen and vintage photo so that they kind of looked a little bit aged, like they weren't brand new stamps. They were maybe vintage stamps or something like that. And you can see how I laid them out and how I have kind of one horizontal on each line, except for that bottom corner where I had that little partial one. And then I did end up having to cut one of the other ones in half a little bit. But don't worry, see, it's covered up with the packages and you really can't tell. So out of my pile of packages, I ended up using 3, and then the one Christmas tree, I popped up the 2 front packages. The back package is put onto directly onto the stamps. And then I have the Christmas trees popped up on 2 foam dots. So it comes out even farther than the packages. And then I picked special delivery and I stamped it on a piece that I colored with the antique linen and with the vintage photo distress inks. I did stamp that one with distress archival ink because I didn't want it to run when I was spraying a little bit of water on it to make some water drops. I just poked a hole in it and put a little bit of string through it. I was trying to decide, I grabbed this black and white, but then I decided that I wanted the yellow to kind of go with the ribbons. So I grabbed the yellow thread and then just attached that on there. All right, there it is. I finished. A little special delivery there. Got all the stamps. I think it's fun. Went together pretty quickly. So there you go, Stamptember 2024, Tim Holtz and Simon Says Stamp.